Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watch Team is here with your latest update on the tropics. We got quite a lot that we need to talk about today. First, obviously, we have potential Tropical Cyclone number 2, as you can see right here. It's still going through a lot more convection. It looks a lot more organized, as you can see. It's still a potential Tropical Cyclone. I do think later today, maybe even early tomorrow, it might be designated as Tropical Storm Bonnie, as this continues to make its way westward, west-northwestward, towards the Lesser Antilles. As you can see, Trinidad and Tobago and the southern regions of the Lesser Antilles have tropical storm warnings. Farther west of that, over here, they do have tropical storm watches, as it is still pretty far away. Oh shit! My mouse is over here. The tropical storm watches are here. I don't really see them though. They're like in this general area down here, which maybe they've changed since the last update. But that's what we have with this system. As you can see, it's going to continue to track towards the west-northwest. Winds are still at 40 miles an hour. Currently, Aircraft Reconnaissance is investigating the system. They have not found a closed LLC, a closed low at the moment. However, they are watching it. I'm going to actually go over to Tropical Tidbits and actually take a look and see what they have found with the storm from Aircraft Reconnaissance. As you can see here, if we take a look at this, you can indeed see that. Now this is the suspect. These aren't what they think they found, but this is not what they found. But they have found winds of around 40 knots, according to the latest update, which is around 45 miles an hour. So we may see an increase to 45 miles an hour with the next update from the National Hurricane Center. That'll be at 10 a.m. Central Time. And I'll also most likely do an update then. So again, this is what we are watching. As you can see the outflow channels up here. You can see it rises, it expands outward. You can see the outflow channel. Looks like maybe some weak shear right through here a little bit. Nothing super strong. The shear is weakening. You can clearly see the development of the storm starting to rotate a little bit more counterclockwise. There's a lot more deep convection near the center of circulation that they think is. There's a lot more consolidation. Before the storm was much more spread out. Remember when the storm looked more like this? Now it's starting to look more just in this general area. Storm's looking a lot more better development-wise, more consolidated near its center. It's more symmetrical around the center of circulation, which is sort of what we're looking for. Also, the dry air, you can see here some of that upper level winds right through here. It's going to be staying pretty far to the south, so it shouldn't be too affected by those strong upper level winds. There is dry air well to the north and to the west, or to the northeast of the center of circulation. With where this is at, it's going to just pretty much stay right in this area and probably make landfall near Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama, that general area of Central America. With what we have right now, they are still expecting it as it gets closer to Nicaragua. It is expected to intensify into a hurricane, and this could be our first hurricane of the year. And usually in July, main development region systems, we don't usually see a lot of hurricanes. That's not really until August, so this could really be something we're going to watch out for. But with what we have right now, it is pretty rare to see systems this far out west, or this far out east, I should say, moving through the main development region, developing, as you can see right there, very, very small and compact, not a huge, massive system compared to what the West Pacific would see. You know, West Pacific has seen storms almost over 1,500 miles wide. That being Typhoon Tip in 1979 at 1,800 miles wide at an air pressure of 870 millibars. Most powerful storm. So watches and warnings, we do have watches and warnings. Tropical storm warnings. I don't know the names of these islands. I know this is Trinidad and Tobago. Not exactly sure the name of this island. Portions of Venezuela are under that tropical storm watch. Islands north of Venezuela also under that tropical storm watch. I do expect those to be increased to tropical storm warnings as the storm does get closer. And then obviously we'll be watching Nicaragua and Honduras in that area. And I do think those will start to see tropical storm watches, tropical storm warnings. Hurricane watches wouldn't surprise me as if it does get that close. 70 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour. And now I'm not saying this is going to happen, but based on what the National Hurricane Center is saying, that is a possibility because the water temperatures are there. It has everything it needs to develop and to continue to intensify once it gets in that part of the Western Caribbean. So again, this is the latest update. This is the 5 a.m. update, actually. I do want to go over to the... I'm going to refresh this page because the latest update has come out probably. Just click on this right here. So as of 8 a.m., this is the latest update. As you can see, they're still expecting it to be a Category 1 hurricane right here as it approaches the Nicaragua coastline. And again, hurricane watches and warnings would be issued if this plays out how the National Hurricane Center is showing. But right now, it hasn't even made it to the islands yet. It's still got winds of about 40 miles an hour. Still expected to move a little farther to the north, a little bit farther to the north, but at where we're seeing right now, it only seems like it's moving west. I don't know if it's going to gain any more latitude. It's still really far south in terms of latitude-wise, and that's what we're watching. It's moving. It's clipping along really quickly at around 23 miles an hour to the west. So what we see here, you can see there are tropical storm force winds. And I do think that's going to increase. Probability for tropical storm force winds are going to increase pretty drastically as it continues its track to the west. Wind shear, as you can see, there is some wind shear here. Not a whole lot of shear in this area. The shear is generally weak. Same for the system here in the Northwest Caribbean. I do want to continue to talk a little bit more about that. But with what we have with the Northwest Caribbean, or the Northwest Gulf of Mexico, we're going to be watching that also. But with particular Tropical Cyclone Two, it's going to continue to move west into the Western Caribbean, and it's going to get stronger, and that's something that I'm worried about because there's low shear. There's not a lot of dry air at all. There's not a lot of, right now, there's not a lot of anything really prohibiting it from continuing to intensify. Dry air is staying off well to the north. You want to see what they're showing for reconnaissance right now. Moving back up, so they think, from what I'm seeing right there, this could possibly be, just based on how the wind barbs are moving around, this might be some sort of a broader, more of a tighter center. Still very, very broad, not closed off very tight. But there's probably some sort of a center. That's probably where the main center is, right here. Right in this area is where I think the main center is going to be at. And where it is at, actually. But it is not closed off yet. It's not tight enough yet. Then they're going to go back and investigate and see if they actually find a closed center circulation. But I don't think it is closed off yet at this moment. We're not seeing the air pressure. Burping, oh my god. Yes, watches and warnings are in effect for this area. Watches and warnings. This is going to continue to move in that area, and I do expect there to be more watches and warnings for this entire area. I do want to go to the National Hurricane Center momentarily and just sort of talk about what watches and warnings are in effect. Both are at 30% chance. Okay, they are increasing. I'm actually very curious what they're saying here. 30% in the next 48 hours, 30% in the next 5 days. Doesn't have a huge chance of development, but the chances are going up. It still has 70% in the next 48 hours and 90% in the next 5 days. Alright, so watches and warnings, that's something I want to go over right now. Watches and warnings. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, and its dependencies. And a tropical storm watch is in effect for the coast of Venezuela and it looks like it says Pedernales to Cuamana, including Isles. I can't pronounce these, but yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. But that's where the watches are. Can't pronounce those, and I'm not going to try because it's going to be an embarrassment. Tropical storm warning basically means that tropical storm conditions are expected somewhere within the warning area in the next 36 hours. A tropical storm watch means that the tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area, generally within around 48 hours. Interest elsewhere in the Windward Islands, in the northwestern coast of Venezuela, Concura, Aruba, and in the northeastern coast of Colombia should monitor the progress of the system. For storm information specific to your area, please monitor your products issued by your National Meteorological Service. So in terms of discussion and outlook, I think it's in here. It's really, 70-90% possibility. Really, the main hazards, I'm actually going to go to the graphics so it's a little bit easier to just talk a little bit more about the hazards. There are three main hazards with this system. And again, there's going to be heavy rainfall expected across the Windward Islands and northeastern Venezuela tonight through Wednesday, and localized flash flooding will be possible. Winds. The tropical storm force are expected over portions of the southern Windward Islands tonight. Tropical storm conditions are possible along the northeastern coast of Venezuela tonight, Wednesday, and on Bonaire by Wednesday evening. And there's higher than normal uncertainty in the system's forecast intensity once it reaches the southwestern Caribbean Sea late Thursday and Friday. Will depend on how much it interacts with land from tonight through Thursday. If there's a lot of interaction with land, there's a possibility it won't become a hurricane, which would be great. Which would be very, very good. However, if there's not a lot of interaction with land, and there's not much interaction with land, it's over the water a lot, there's a possibility, unfortunately, it could become a hurricane. So that's what we have right now. If it kind of goes along right through here. If it goes a little bit further to the south, and it goes more over this land right through here, there's a better possibility it's going to weaken. But if it goes north of the track a little bit and goes up through here, it comes up through here and it's not over that water as much. It's not over the land as much, and it's more of the water over the sea, over the southern Caribbean Sea. Then it has a better possibility of becoming a hurricane, unfortunately. Now, right now, we don't know exactly where it's going to go. It all depends on how strong it becomes. It depends on how far to the north it goes, how far to the south it stays, how much water it's over. And right now, there's nothing that we know 100%. Nothing is 100% until it is happening. And that is certainly something we are going to closely monitor. So, with this given, I am going to continue to answer questions, and I'm going to also start going over models with this system. Kind of see what the hurricane models are showing with potential tropical cyclone number 2. That's a freaking ton. Let's see what O2L is showing here. So as you can see, the pinks, look how high that is up the scale. Way up there, very, very heavy amounts of rain. As you can see, it does move just to the north. It stays pretty weak. This is just one of the models. It doesn't really intensify. It stays over the water, unfortunately. And really, once it gets past Venezuela and Colombia, is really where it begins to intensify there. Now, I do think this is a little bit stronger than what I think is going to happen. 979 millibars upon landfall. That's a little bit high in my opinion. Wind speed wise, that's definitely going to be a hurricane, as you can see. 70 knots, that's an 80 mile an hour hurricane right there. So they are saying, 80, 85 miles an hour upon landfall there, and then as you can see, it quickly falls apart there. So as you can see, again, as we do watch this, actually, are there... Also, this is also something good to watch. Deep thunderstorm activity, and it's going to take some time, but really once it gets past, Venezuela and Colombia, and it gets over the Western Caribbean is really where it seems to intensify. And it does seem that it does create an eye right there at landfall momentarily. I don't know. 979 millibars seems a little bit strong for me. I'm saying, 60, 70, maybe 75 miles an hour upon landfall. But right now, the HWT appears to be a little bit over the top. This is the HMON 2. This is for HMON for O2L, potential tropical cyclone 2. HWRF, I think that's a little strong, a little on the high side. Again, they are saying it's just going to stay really, really weak. It's not really much of intensification. Really, most of these don't show a lot of intensification until it gets past northern South America. And then that's when they show it's going to intensify. They say 985 millibars, still a hurricane. And so really, I think based on what these models are saying, it's really going to intensify the most once it gets over that area. This is 96 hours out. It seems a little bit more reasonable, 989 millibars. 53 knots, about 60 miles an hour. That seems a little bit more reasonable, 60, 70, maybe 75 miles an hour. Now, who knows? This may just explode in energy as it makes its way over the Western Caribbean, and then we see a hurricane. But right now, that's pretty far out. There's so many things that can change between now and then. And that's what we have to watch. We got to continue watching the satellite. We got to continue watching where is it going. Is it making a shift to the north? Is it shifting to the south? Is it shifting at all? And if it is making a shift, is it to the north? And then we have to get an idea of what we're seeing with, we need to make a better idea. We need to get a better idea of where the storm is going to go based on that shift to the north, to the south, and stuff like that. So we got a new recon. We'll take off at 1400 UTC is the next reconnaissance. And right now it is 1200 UTC. And that's going to be in about an hour or so. So we still got quite a bit of time until the next reconnaissance does take off. And when that does, we will be talking about it in our 10 a.m. update. And we will be doing an update at 10 a.m. because that's when the next, is it the complete advisory? I think this is the intermediate advisory on potential tropical cyclone 2. And then the next complete advisory is at 10 a.m. 10 a.m., there'll be 4 p.m., then it'll be 10 p.m. And then you have the intermediate advisories, which are at 1 a.m., 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. Those are intermediate advisories, and you have the complete advisories also 4 a.m. to 10 p.m., stuff like that. So, I want to talk a little bit about Invest 95L, because it is now an area of investigation that the National Hurricane Center is watching. It is something I am concerned about because we are seeing a little bit more thunderstorm activity. Not a lot of rotation. Not a whole lot of stuff going on. I am noticing these clouds spiraling inwards. But maybe there's some broad center of circulation trying to develop at the low levels of the atmosphere. There's a lot more thunderstorm activity with this. You can see a lot of convection with this system. You want to go to WSV3 and see what this is looking more like on satellite. Come on, load. Hold There we go. Now you want to go back here, take a look at satellite. I'm just going to go to the United States here, and I guess we can do visible, right? I'll just do the past 3 hours. Oh wow, the past 3 hours, that's, I don't get hardly any imagery. Screw it, I'll just do infrared. So again, you can see what looks like a little bit of rotation. Very, very little, very, very broad. Not a whole lot of anything really going on right here in terms of deep thunderstorm activity. We are seeing some thunderstorm activity, but it isn't over the top. It isn't super deep. It isn't super crazy. The biggest threats with this are certainly and definitely going to be heavy rain. For sure, definitely we're going to see lots of heavy rain with this. Tropical storm force winds, might not even make it to a depression. So right now it does have winds of about 25 knots, which is at around 30 miles per hour. That's weird. That's really weird because it's in an area of investigation. I don't know why it's not showing it. Dude, I don't freaking know. Oh, it doesn't show it right now. That's hella weird. That's hella weird. It's weird. Yeah, it's like freezing up on me. And it's not working properly again. This happens all the time. Try this again. I do want to momentarily talk about this system since there are people, obviously, who live in Texas. Also, we're now getting these watches once again, finally working properly. Although it should show this right here, given that it exists, but whatever, it doesn't actually show it exists right now. Anyway, this is an area of investigation that the National Hurricane Center does at 1-2 and is investigating. So what I will do is I'll put this into motion. And as you can see, there is some thunderstorm activity, deeper thunderstorm activity. And right now, the biggest threats with this one system again, the biggest threats with this system are going to be heavy rain. That's it. Heavy rain, isolate some flooding as possible. But because there's been so much drought, I do think that this is going to be very, very beneficial for South Texas, especially. And I think that the upper Texas coast could certainly use a lot more rain. We haven't gotten a lot of rain lately, and it is going to be very beneficial. However, you know, it's a tropical system, so don't expect it not to flood. All right, still treat this, you know, with respect. You know, in the case that it does unfortunately flood, and you're out driving, you know, go by the rule that they always tell you: turn around, don't drown. That's always going to be a possibility with any system, regardless of if it's rained in the past or not, or if it's rained recently or not. There's always that possibility that it could flood. You know, you could get a very, very heavy rain event. You know, you could get these training thunderstorms sometimes, and where you just get heavy rain over the same spot for, you know, you get an hour of just extremely heavy rain, and it can cause flooding very, very, very quickly. And so that's something that I'm certainly worried about in that area. But right now this isn't really anything to worry too much about. Except that you know, it's not even, you know, classified as really anything except an area of investigation. Not a whole lot to even talk about with this system. Mainly just going to be closely monitoring the development of this system, as it's going to be definitely impacting for sure. Definitely going to be impacting the Texas coast. But this right here is my biggest worry right now. Now that you're seeing more thunderstorm activity. I need to put this on play. There we go. So there you go, as you can see. Come on. What the hell? So there you go, you can see thunderstorm. You can indeed in fact see that this system is trying to develop more better. There's a lot more deep thunderstorm activity near the center of the circulation for sure. You see. So, if anyone has any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to question any comments that you have. But this is what we have lately. Not a whole lot to talk about. Really, it's really just the same general stuff: heavy rain, flooding. There aren't any new watches or warnings right now with what we have right now. Based on the satellite imagery, there's a lot of deep thunderstorm activity really towards the north, and so this is really showing more of a sign of more organization. Lately, it looks a lot more organized over the past several hours. But from what I see right now, there isn't a low level. There is a low level center of circulation, but it isn't tight enough. It isn't organized enough, and therefore the National Hurricane Center has not pretty much pulled the trigger on Bonnie yet. Now, once they do, we will certainly let you know if this does become Tropical Storm Bonnie, and in that case, we will definitely let you know. I'm going to go aircraft reconnaissance. See, they are starting to put little wind barbs there, 10, 11 millibars. So air pressure is still very, very high for this system. And yeah, not a whole lot more to talk about. I'm gonna go back to aircraft reconnaissance and just take a look at what they're showing over here. There aren't any radar sites in this area that we can use in any other place except for, you know, Puerto Rico. Yeah, a radar site. Why does this keep popping up? I swear I gotta like turn this off permanently sometimes. It's clearly not an option. So that's what we have right now. They're not really. I just looked, and they're not really showing a whole lot right now. But that's what we have right now, ladies and gentlemen. Not a whole lot to talk about. I'm going to see what else I do need to talk about. Anything I didn't cover, please let me know. Anything I still need to talk about, let me know in the chat below, and I will certainly talk about it. Just give me one moment. I'm going to go to the chat. See anything here. Oh, radar sites. Okay, we do have some radar sites. Crap, I need to go over here. I need to leave this open here. And then I need to go here. on this side. Things have got to be so slow sometimes. We do have some satellite coverage, it appears. So you can see the system, is getting closer. There is rain moving through that region and that area right now. There are things of not too bad, some squally weather. Nothing too terrible. Some more pockets of heavy rain well up the coast of South America, as you can see in this area, but nothing super duper crazy. I'm running out of things to talk about, I'll be honest. And I'm trying to figure out what else. So this is what we have right now. If anyone has any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to talk and comment any questions you have. But what we have right here, you can see some squally weather moving just north of South America. Nothing super duper bad right now. I do think throughout the day, conditions are just really going to deteriorate throughout the day into this evening as the storm begins to approach the southern Leeward Islands. Trinidad and Tobago down there is it's going to get a little bit worse, and weather is going to become a little bit more rough. The seas are going to become more rough, and those winds are going to start being much more windier. Nothing super duper bad, 35, 40 mile an hour winds, depending if you are that close to the center as it passes near that area, if it even makes landfall in an area. But if in the case that it does, we will closely monitor that. There is another radar site I want to pull up. Because, yeah, it's right here. And then you have Guena. And then you have this here, which is in South America. As you can see, there is some squally weather moving in, just right off the coast of Georgetown. Very, very, very heavy amounts of rain, as you can see in this area. And I do think this is going to sort of continue throughout the day as the storm does get closer. I would say if it's centered here, centered roughly right here, that's about 100, 120, anywhere from 100 to 200 kilometers offshore, depending on, particularly which part you're looking at. Wide. Okay, that is just like pause for a second. So that's what we have right now. Heavy amounts of rain moving into Georgetown, and I do think heavy rain like this is going to continue throughout the rest of the day, and it's probably going to get worse. Also, I want to take a look at what is this. Hold up, let me just take a look at what we got here. What is this? So that's what we have right now. Not a whole lot more to talk about. And I'm probably gonna close this off here pretty soon. Just want to do a quick tropical update. Yeah, 35-minute quick tropical update. And that's probably gonna close it off for right now. We will continue to talk about this at our next update, which will be at, say, 1500 UTC. Yeah, in like 2 hours, we'll do another tropical weather update and talk about the reconnaissance and talk about more gusty wind, the conditions. And we'll be talking about the conditions as they begin to deteriorate. We'll probably look for cameras in this area and see if there's any cameras we can find in this area, and just really talk about as the storm begins to approach and make landfall later today. Well, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining the Hurricane Watch Link. If you want, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we also have a Patreon. Links are in the description. If you are interested, we will post a lot. We're going to be posting a lot more Patreon exclusive content over there. And if you want, feel free to, donate. Give us $1 a month. Only $12 a year. Well, that's going to be it for today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your morning. And we will talk to you guys later this morning. Peace out.